The Torah portion of Vayetchanan, it's about everything. It's about what it means to be Jewish. It's about why be Jewish. It's about why God chose us. Beginning, middle, end. It has Shema Yisrael, right? Which Jew doesn't know Shema Yisrael? The Ten Commandments. It has everything. One of the verses is why God chose us. Why did God choose us? Two reasons. One, because He loves us, whatever that means. And the other one, because of an oath to the forefathers. 16th century, mid-16th century, 17th century, we have a rabbi in Prague, together with the Maharal and the Golem. This rabbi is called Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim of Lunchis, a Polish rabbi, who comes to Prague, great mind. He reads this verse and he's troubled by it. He says, what does it mean that God loves me? What does it mean that God, it even says, lusts me? Does He really want me? He says, us, the Jewish people, we're a stubborn people. He looks around the Bet Midrash, he looks at Jewish history, says, us, we're no better than anyone else. That's the truth. We might, but it says He loves us. So the Kli Yakar asks, what does it mean that He loves us? He comes to one conclusion, and you're not going to like it, because you're in the 21st century. Do you know why God loves us? Because of our race. It's a racial thing. It's not nice to say, but that's the truth, that's what He says. But it's actually okay to say. Why? What does it mean when the Kli Yakar says God loves us? It's actually not two reasons. The reason God loves us is because of an oath to the forefathers. Meaning, a long time ago, God creates the world, but no one recognizes Him. One man arrives, Abraham, and recognizes a God. For this man, God says, it is worthy to have a pact, to have an oath, that from your offspring, I will choose a people. Why? Because you're the first one to recognize me. That actually makes sense. So it's okay to say it's a racial thing. It's the people of Abraham, the first person to discover that there is one God in the world, nothing else other than this God. But the bottom line of what the Kli Yakar says actually is very troublesome. Because in fact, the bottom line here, which he doesn't continue on, is that if we are chosen just because of an oath to Abraham, but we're a stubborn people, we're a hopeless people, how are we going to bring world peace? How are we going to bring Tikkun Olam? How are we going to bring the happily ever after? An answer to that comes from a rabbi hundreds of years earlier, the Rashbam. The Rashbam is living in a Bet Midrash in France in the 12th century. He is the grandson of Rashi, Rabbi Shmuel ben Meir. So he knows how to read the Torah. He gets up in the Bet Midrash. He reads the very same verse that Kli Yakar in Prague is reading hundreds of years later. He knows that God loving us is connected to the forefathers. And so he gets up in the middle of the Bet Midrash and he says, excuse me everyone, if God loves me just because of Abraham, just because of the forefathers, so what about their oath? Why should I keep the mitzvahs? Why do I need this burden on my shoulders? Let me live my life, enjoy life without the mitzvahs. It's a far better life. What do I need this for? That's a startling question for a rabbi. Do I imagine a rabbi gets up in your shul and asks this question, and he's not joking, he asks this seriously. What's in it for me? Why do I need to keep the mitzvahs if it's an oath to do with hundreds, thousands of years ago? God doesn't really love me. He loves Abraham. Now I'm stuck with the mitzvahs. That's the truth. Do you know what the Rashbam's answer is? He reads Vayetchanan and says, do you know what the theme of this week's Torah portion is? Keep mitzvahs. Take it, leave it, like it, don't like it. He says, Vayetchanan, the essence of what it means to be Jewish is to keep mitzvahs. We are a stubborn people, like the Kli Yakar knows. But keeping mitzvahs is the only thing we have going for us, the only remedy, according to what Moses says in Vayetchanan, to bring the happily ever after. Thoughts on Vayetchanan, why being Jewish, why God chose us, and two great rabbis. Shabbat Shalom.